Welcome back to Huawei Routing and Switching Elite Training for HCIE. Today topic we are going to discuss on BGP. Let's start our part 7.
Okay, so now it's time for us to look into some of the command. Okay, so first we are going to look into the basic BGP functions such as doing the peering. Next we are going to look into the attribute on the local preference. We are going to study a case on when are we going to use a local preference. Then we're going to look into MED attribute, all right, community attribute, AS path. Now these are some of the commonly used attribute. And we are going to look into BGP load balancing, and finally we look into some optimization of the BGP, including the security. Okay, so let's look into our first configuration. All right, so let's look into this case. Assume that you are the network administrator of company A. The following figure shown the company A. So we have this topology. So in this topology, I have a few ASs. So I have AS 100, 200, 300, 400, and 500. Okay. So in this AS 100, we are going to have a IGP. Okay. So here we also have a IGP. All right. The IGP we are going to use will be on OSPF. Okay. Same thing go for here. So some of the requirement first. Establish stable IBGP. When the question asks for a stable IBGP, basically they are referring to the loopback. Okay, so we are going to use our loopback to do the peering between R1 and R3. R1 and R2, R1 and R3. So 1 connect to 2, 2 connect to 3, and 3 connect to 2 will be using the loopback, and as well as 6 to 7. So 6 and 7 will also be using a loopback. Configure static route in AS 100 and 400. So as you can see that AS 100 and 400 here are connected through this link, and this link will not be part of the IGP, so we have to use a static. Okay, so we also will use a static over here. So that's the first requirement. Second requirement here is to advertise the network number 10 to BGP. So we are going to use a network command in the BGP to advertise the network 10. Okay, so all this network 10 will be advertised. And finally, establish a peer relationship between all eBGP neighbor. So we have 3 requirements over here. So we have iBGP and we also have eBGP. Okay, so let's look into the configuration now. Okay, so let's look into the lab. So based on the requirements, so I have this topology. Router 1, 2, and 3 have AS 100. Router 4 have 200. Router 5 have 300. Router 6 and router 7 have 400. And router 8 have 500. Okay, so the first requirement is to have the iBGP. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. We are going to form using a loopback. So for this to happen, we are going to configure OSPF in the AS100. Same go for the AS400 as well. So let's look into my router 1. Okay. So I have my internal loopback 1.1. So I have a network of 10, network 13, and network 12. So 10 is the network that we are going to advertise using BGP. 12 network and 13 network we are going to advertise using OSPF. Okay, so if I'm going to do a ping, so myself is 12.1.1.1, so I'm going to ping to .2, which is router 2 here. Okay, and I will also try to ping to 13.1.1.3. Okay, so we have a good connectivity over there. Now router 2 connected through 3 interfaces. So if I go to router 3, display IP interface brief, you notice that I have 3 interfaces and 1 loopback. So between router 2 and router 4, I'm connected using IP address of 23. Okay, 23.1.1.3. This is on the router 3 here. Okay, and on router 2, I have a 23.1.1.2. So if I do a ping from 2 to 4, so I'm going to do a 24.1.1.4. So that's my router 4. Okay, and you also will notice that I have number 12, number 23. So this is number 12, number 23, number 24, and the internal loopback. Okay, and router 4 itself, so these are all the interfaces. I have a 3.4 here, this part here. I have 24, 45. Okay, this is a 45, so I have 45 here, 46, so I have 46, and finally 47. 47 is here. Okay, so I'm going to configure eBGP on the router 4. So router 4 have 5 eBGP. Okay, so eBGP to 100 I have 2 peering, eBGP to AS400 I have 2 peering, and eBGP to AS300 I have 1 peering. And on the router 6, I have 2 interfaces connecting between 6 and 7. So you have a 67 and 76. Okay, then I have a 46 here plus 68 over here. Okay, so those are our topology and the IP address. So let's look into the first requirement. We are going to have the iBGP, but before the iBGP we need to configure OSPF. So let's look into the OSPF. I'm going to configure the OSPF using my router ID. I'm going to use an area 0. First I'm going to have my network 1. Okay, and I also will have my network number 12, as well as the network number 13. Now for simplicity, I have configured router 2 and router 3 on the OSPF already, so that's why you can see that the peering is formed. So just to confirm that this is just on the OSPF. Alright, so I should have 2 peering, one with the router 2 and the other one with router 3. Okay, so there you go. So this is my OSPF. I have a peering 12.112 and 34.113. Okay, so my peering is good. Next, we are going to look into the ping command just to make sure that I can ping to the internal loopback on router 2 and ping to internal loopback of router 3. There you go. So just to confirm that router 2 and router 3 has good peering. Okay, so this is a peering on router number 2. I also were able to ping to the internal loopback number 1. Now this is important because we are going to do a iBGP using a stable peering. Okay, and finally let's do a display OSPF peering brief. There you go. So we have the full peering here, and I would like to ping to 1, and I would like to ping to 2. Now our OSPF is done on the first AS here, which is AS100. So next we are going to configure the AS400. So for this, we will also using OSPF. So this guy will be using a loopback of 6. I'm going to use an area 0 as well. So I'm going to use a network of a 67.110. Okay, and a network 76.110. And finally, my loopback address. Okay. So this is the OSPF on router 6. Then I'm going to do it on router 7. OSPF. So this guy will be 7, area 0, network 7777, network 67, and network 76. Okay, so we have our peering is forming. Okay, that's good. So it's formed. Let's double check. Display OSPF peer. On my brief, you can see that it's formed. So I have a good peering between these two routers inside this AS400. So the rest over here is just a eBGP. Okay, so let's look into the BGP now. So in router 1, we have AS100. So for us to configure BGP, so let's do a BGP 100. Now, just now that I mentioned that we are peering with the stable network. In this case, it's a loopback. So we are going to use peer 2.2.2.2. My AS number is the same, which is 100. Now, you have to make sure that the source, alright, that you are using here is referred back to your loopback. Now, this is important. Okay, this is important for you to use the loopback to have a stable connection. So next, I'm going to do a peer with 3.3. My AS number is still 100, and peer 3333 is using connect interface loopback 0. Okay. Alright, so this will be on the R1. And let's go into the R2. So you said that it's actually going to the establish. So on the R2, we are going to do a BGP 100. Alright, so for the simplicity, I have configured the 100 already. As you can see that the peering with the 24 here, 24114, which is the 200. So this is the eBGP. Okay, and on router number 3, okay, on router number 3, I also do the same thing. First, I'm going to peer with number 1, connect interface using loopback 0. Then I'm going to peer with number 2, connect interface using loopback 0. And finally, I'm going to have a eBGP connect to router number 4. Alright, so I should have a very good peering now between 1, 2, and 3. Let's confirm display BGP peer. There you go. So I have established over here. As you can see that I have 34 is active. And if I go to number 2 here, same thing here is also active. The reason is because that router number 4 have not configured any BGP yet. So we are going to look into configure on router number 4. Okay, so let's do it first. First, I'm going to make sure that I'm able to ping to my router 2, 3, alright, 5, 6, and 7. So we have 34, 24, 45, 46, and 47. Okay, so let me do a ping 34.1.1.3. Okay, so that is my router number 3. I'm going to ping to 24.1.1.2. Okay, that's also working. I'm going to ping to 46.1.1.6. Okay, that's on the router 6. I'm going to ping. Now it's always a good practice for you to do a test ping first. Alright, because you do not want to have a peering later on. The problem is not your BGP, but it's the connectivity issue. So that's on. Okay, sorry, this is 47. Okay, so that's my mistake here. It's supposed to be ping to 47.1.1.7. Okay, that's good. And finally, I'm going to ping to 45.45115. Alright, so all the connectivity is working. I have configured router 2 and router 3, so now waiting for router 4 to form. So display BGP peer, you can see that there isn't have any because my BGP has not started yet. So my AS number is 200. Okay, so I'm going to peer with 24.1.1.2. The AS number here is 100. So first, I'm peering with router number 2. So we just have to specify who is my peer and who is the AS number. So in this case, it's 100. Then I'm going to peer with 34.1.1.3. Again, the AS number is 100. Okay, so we have to just wait for a while for the peering to be up. Display BGP peer. Now you can see that it's idle. Now typically you have to wait about 1 or 2 minutes for this peering to be up because it's using a TCP base. Okay, so while waiting for this peering, so we continue to do a peering with number 6 and 7. So you can see that one of the router 4 has been established. Okay, so 4 to, this is router 4. Okay, there is to router 2. Then we have router 4 to router 3. So I'm in router 4. So when I do a display BGP peer, you can see that it's having a good BGP peering. So if I go to router 2, and you can see that when I do a display BGP peer, I have a good peering with 3 of these. And to confirm that router 3 should be the same, there you go. So let me continue router 4 here. Okay, so I just do a 2 peering. Now I'm going to do with a peering with number 6, 7, and number 5. Okay, so let me do a peering with number 5. So that will be 45.1.1.5. My AS number will be 300. Okay, so router number 5 is in 300. Then I'm going to peer with 46.1.1.6, and my AS number here will be 400. Okay, and peer 47. Okay, 47 is this guy here, 47.1.1.7. My AS number will be 400 as well. Okay, so there you go. So we have our good peering. Alright, this will be on the AS200. So the peering has been completed. So I go to router number 5. I will continue to make sure that my BGP is configured. Router 5 AS is 300. My peering is 45.1.1.4. My AS number is 200. Okay, so we just wait for a while. Router 4 should have another more peering coming up. That's on router 4. Display BGP peer. So I have 2 established already. I'm waiting for router 5 to come out soon. So while waiting for this, I would like to go to number 6 and 7. So on the number 6, I make sure that my OSPF is good. Okay, and I make sure that I have my OSPF that is connecting to number 7. That is also good. So first I'm going to configure my BGP, and my AS number currently is 400. So my peer will be on 7. Okay, my AS number will be on 400. Okay, right, remember your connect interface loopback 0. So that will be on number 7, and I also will do the same thing on number 7. So first I'm going to declare that I am 400 under the BGP process. I started it. Then the peering of 6. Okay, the AS number here is 400, and peer number 6, my connect interface is loopback 0. Okay, so I have a peering to number 4. So I'm going to do here is I'm going to peer with 47.1.1.4. My AS number here is 200. Okay, so which is this one. Then on number 6, I'm going to peer with 46.1.1.4. The AS number is 200. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so let's do a display BGP peer. There you go. So you can see that I have a good relationship with number 7 as well as 46 here. So if I go to number 7 here, alright, that's good. So I also have 2 peering. So if I go to number 4, I should have complete my peering. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there you go. So we have 5 over here.
Thanks for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe to our channel.